Welcome back, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Excited for this show. Bratoshi is on the live stream saying, let's go. Already 100 people here, as well as a bunch of people in the crowd. It's going to be a fun conversation. Adam is taking the week off after being just a madman the last few months, I should say, going 24/7. So it's me and Chris here on live stream, man. What's good?
What is good? What is good? Good to see everyone. We've got a fun week ahead and some pretty crazy weeks behind us, but I think that things are leveling out a little bit and we can kind of focus on the next chapter for not only us, but all these teams
Man, what a wild month July was. Everything kind of that we expected. On-chain revolution guys say, yo, my guys, what's good? Good to see. I've also pinned the live stream to the top for anyone who prefers watching. Man, yeah, successful migration for Hustle. The idea of migrations starting to proliferate for better or for worse, as some people like to negatively attack, which is okay. You know, it's a new technology, so it's always warranted. At one point, Emblem Vault was a controversial technology about half a decade ago. People don't like change, but empowerment is what we're here for. And that is some of the conversations we're going to be having today with our good friends over at IQ6900, the world of decentralized.
Let's go.
GM, guys. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Who am I talking with behind the account right now?
It's G.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I tried inviting you on stage, and I was like, oh, he must be behind.
Oh
the
yeah,
account.
I'm behind the IQ account right now. Yes.
Well,
Thank you.
it's good, man. I'm excited. You know, it's been cool to actually talk with you over the last few weeks and kind of get to know you guys. And man, I have to say, IQ6900 has a huge fan base in the hustle community. A lot of people in our TG speaking very highly of you guys. So yeah, it's cool to bring these two communities together.
Hey, that's really good to hear. And I think there's kind of a big overlap between technologies that are giving projects kind of self-sufficiency and the control over their data and mission, and that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the story of IQ 6900 and also just how both of you and Zoe came involved with the company. I know I know it's a CTO project and you guys have really, you know, taken a hold of it and built it your own. And it's kind of interesting as we've talked with now close to 100 teams for Migrate Fund. Man, every story is different and every CTO story is, man, just wild across the spectrum.
Okay, so I would love to explain everything, but just to quickly get this out of the way, Zoe actually CTO'd her own coin during the CTO meta of like October, November when IQ was at like 5K market cap, and we kind of did that to just get some more attention and eyes on our project.
Nice.
Yeah, so first project to CTO themselves.
I love it.
So essentially, kind of as many people know, we actually started purely as a meme coin, right? So IQ is kind of the antithesis to AI, right? Like IQ represents, human content in a world full of just, AI generated content. Not saying AI technology is bad, but there should be a clear distinction between AI stuff and humans. And this is kind of the initial thing Zoe was running off when she launched IQ, right? And 6900, a nod, of course, to SPX, and it kind of represents cults, right? A cult-like devotion of people coming together to create new ideas that can actually change the world, right? So it's about October. Zoe launches IQ. It has an initial run up, and then it dumps to like 5K market cap. And I was a 1% buyer on Pump Fund, and I had no idea who Zoe was at this point. So I actually I got rugged. We dumped down to 5K market cap, and my investment was gone. But something in me was just like, stay around, don't leave the telegrams, kind of see what happens. And sure enough, I did that. So I kept kind of chatting, kept hanging around, and then one of these days during like the 1 month stretch, we were at 5K. I saw Zoe kind of monologuing to herself in the Telegram, and it was like and no one was listening. It was just me watching, maybe a couple other people, but no one was typing. And it was kind of like the ramblings of someone who's extremely devoted and isn't going to stop until they kind of accomplish what they believe they can do. So this really inspired me. And Zoe was anonymous at this point. We were all anonymous, so we didn't know who we were, but we kind of started forming the basis of a teamwork to build something else. And then this kind of inscription idea was born. So Zoe wanted to take like significant cultural moments on Solana, like such as the Quant Kid rug, or just other kind of big things in the Solana space, and then inscribe these moments on chain. So you could inscribe memes, you could inscribe, moments, KOLs, scammers, pieces of lore, all to the chain, and it would never go away. It would be a permanent record of what was happening on Solana. So we got to work doing that, right? But it was extremely expensive for like a 1 megabyte image or something. It would cost you over 7 Solana. So then ever since this day, Zoe kind of invented this own method to inscribe memes to the blockchain. And once she did that, she came back to us, and then we asked her like, hey, wait, can we do multimedia here? Like, is this a novel method? Or like, is this limited to SVM? Can we go EVM too? And we started asking all these questions. And then we realized, okay, no, we are more than just a meme coin. We are actually building something very important here for the future of the decentralized world. So we started building on-chain inscriptions, media, games, communication, and things like that. And we've just been running with it ever since.
Man, I remember the inscription craze as it spread from Bitcoin down to Litecoin and Dogecoin, and then over to Solana, and then all the other EVM chains, and it was breaking L2s. And I think there was like Solana maps was like something that had popped up at one point in time. Were you guys a part of the inscription? I guess you'd say ordinals proliferation when it happened on Bitcoin, or was it just an idea that you guys thought was interesting and wanted to apply it to Solana?
So I was around for when ordinals launched and kind of the first initial craze. I think Zoe was as well, but we weren't working together at this point. But ordinals and inscriptions like that on the Bitcoin network are 100% what has inspired us, because when you take like actually writing data to a network like Bitcoin, which is the most secure, the most trusted, it's just the data is permanent. It can't be changed, things like that. And we saw a really huge value in that. And we kind of wanted to take that and apply it to the speed and user base and kind of cultural adoption that Solana has.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's cool that you guys have been able to take the technology, or take the technology and continue to run with it, because I think the majority of inscription based ecosystems outside of Bitcoin and some on Dogecoin really kind of fizzled out there, even as like with descriptions on Ethereum. But I have here pulled up the website that I'm looking at on the live stream, and you see uh, Prime and Center store any data on chain permanently. IQ6900 technology enables storing data fully on chain. So is this the underlying business model of IQ6900, where you're essentially just helping people inscribe things on chain, or is there something
Great
larger to this
question.
vision that you guys are going to be
That
implementing?
that's actually one of the things. Like people hear inscriptions, they think, oh, ordinals, that's cool, right? But it's kind of where it ends, right? No, it's far deeper than this. It's like pure data upload to the Solana blockchain for far cheaper than ever has been possible before. So this means you can put things like records, movies, sensitive data, important things like this. But we're also kind of finding this notion that when we can write data very cheap, we can also, when we send like a couple land ports of Solana, we can attach inscribed data to this, and we can actually send messages and send data to PDAs, kind of like a server, and we can listen to them and start receiving and kind of making like a, not a web socket, but kind of like a block socket. So with this technology, we're trying to build, our end goal is decentralized websites and games. So that we actually already have put things like Doom, like the original Doom game, on a PDF and put it on SVM, or no, we put it on the Soon mainnet, and we also put it on mainnet Solana. So games, movies, and finally websites for a whole like decentralized kind of internet. That's kind of what our final goal is.
Centralized internet. Yeah, there's a few different chains that we've talked with over the years about trying to pursue this idea. It's tough, it's ambitious, and not as much money into it typically, right? Not as much speculative properties, right? Than like a meme coin where it makes a number go up and down.
And
But
yeah,
right. But at the end of the day, you know that there's a massive opportunity here. Decentralization, and freedom technology is something that will always have a priority, or it always have a premium in some sense. I mean, it was kind of funny the other day. I saw uh, a bunch of people comparing OpenAI's valuation of 300 billion to Ethereum's market cap of 400 billion, and they're saying, what's the difference? And it was like, to me, that just showed that there's a premium on decentralization and freedom compared to anything else. And that's, it's the tougher route, because decentralized products take much longer to scale, and
yes,
it's a little bit more murky. It's not a straight path, right? Where you're building, especially when you're not venture capital funded, where you're kind of just,
exactly.
right, you're trying to do everything to survive by any means necessary. And there's a lot of changes that always undergo. And it's not just like you can put a bunch of money in the bank and kind of sit back and try to build a product. You got to literally follow wherever the community's pointing you towards, which seems to be what you guys have done, because you brought a crowd here, and you guys seem to be known from quite a few circles.
Hey, honestly, our community has been what's made this like so easy, because you're totally right. When you're building, technology, new technology, disrupting technology, it's not going to be just an instant kind of explosion, right? It's typically like a slow burn for a long time, just trying to keep up with everything. And then our community has seen the future use case of what we can do, the use cases we can already achieve, and they've kind of stuck through us with everything that's happened, and we're really thankful for them.
Yeah, I agree as well. So take us through then where, you're building a decentralized internet. There's a token that's called IQ that you guys CTO'd. Where's the overlap between these in terms of what's planned for tokenomics, and how the IQ token plays into this vision of building a decentralized internet?
That's a great question. So there's honestly so many things we can do. It's so broad. So when we launch IQ Chat, that will of course be powered by, it's all on chain. So there's a little bit of gas costs, right, for when you're sending messages, sending images, and then a percentage fee of that will be used to buy back IQ. Things like that. Using the SDK for like large enterprise grade uploads, percentage fees of the transaction costs will be built into IQ and things like that. But to actually kind of get the appropriate amount of kind of team supply and project kind of focus to do this, we've had to look into other tools like migrate.fund, because we launched on Pump, right? We launched Fair. The team doesn't have a whole ton of supply. And then being able to actually kind of recapture the focus of the project and have it led by the community and point in the direction where everyone wants to go is a really big deal.
Yeah, and you guys are one of a small amount of teams who, you know, are pursuing the path of migrating to your own liquidity pool as a Radium CPMM and alternative to Bonk Fund, which, you know, is kind of funny because when we had originally built out the platform for Migrate Fund, that was kind of our expectation, was that everyone's going to want to migrate to their own liquidity pool to have full control and ownership. And it's actually turned out to be the complete opposite. And what it kind of made me realize is that we're in this era of crypto where the majority of things need to be curated now, because, you know, what more responsibility and ownership does not always mean, you know, a better output for the majority of people. Although you guys are, you know, a little bit more sophisticated and have some understanding. So I'd love to, you know, talk with you and through the audience on, you know, your decision making between each platform, between migrating to your own pool versus a bonk fund, and where the ultimatum, or where the
Mhm.
ultimate decision came down to.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll just start with saying platforms like Bonk, who have actually taken initiative to kind of build an ecosystem that is supportive of projects launched on Bonk, where the heads of the Bonk eco are actually posting these projects, getting them attention, getting them whales. I think that is amazing. It's great, right? Building a whole ecosystem for launch pads. Anyone can do it. It can be super easy. But when we want to build and scale like an actual Web3 business that is going to have, tokenomics, sophisticated use cases, entergrade level tooling, right? Or enterprise grade tooling. We're going to need a large level of control over the liquidity pool, over the swap fees to fund this project and to keep it going, right? Because launch pads and everything are great, but we need to retain ownership of this to build good tokenomics for our holders and secure the future for our project. So Radium CPMM gives us that opportunity over Bonk right now.
Yep. That's and it's different from every team that we've talked with, right? We as the hustle team also went to a Radium CPMM, but with that comes a lot more responsibility. It's right. The token, the LP is unlocked. So you do get dinged in certain areas from like rug check and such of saying,
Yeah.
you know, that there's, you know, potential vulnerability. There's a little bit more administrative work on the back end. But for some of the teams, this is a much more preferable option. As you also need some understanding on how to, I guess, massage the liquidity pool. Like as the price goes
Mhm.
up, you have to kind of add a little bit more LP to kind of add some padding, and yeah, it takes a little bit more of kind of some crypto knowledge.
100%. And that's something we're more than willing to learn to support this project and help it grow.
Yeah, I agree as well. Chris, do you have some questions?
Yeah, man, I just think it's cool that, a tech heavy kind of project like yourselves have found other technology that you can kind of use and amplify your vision. And I mean, like Emblem Vault, we've been building since 2016. The vision is to kind of just have complete sovereignty over all of your
Mhm.
assets, no matter what blockchain they're on. And then, it's really cool to see you guys taking on like the big task of a decentralized library of Alexandria. We think that that's like a really cool idea. That's one of Jake's favorite ideas in blockchain.
Mhm.
And then like IQ chat is like super important. I mean, having a singular phone number for all of your communications is obviously like, not only a single point of failure, but obviously like a huge kind of privacy risk. So
Mhm.
huge kind of just really ambitious and important goals. And then, finding your way to create and manage your own liquidity pool through something like Migrate Fund, and just taking like the empowerment of your project back into your own hands like it was originally supposed to be, I think is just really great to see.
And
I wanted to use IQ
yeah.
chat yesterday, but I didn't get the time to. Would you mind walking us through it and kind of just giving us like a little TLDR, because I think that's like one of the
I
most needed kind of applications within the space.
I would love to. I'd love to talk about it. Yeah. So actually, the due date for the Solana Mobile Hackathon for the Seeker was yesterday, but there were so many submissions that they extended it to 2 days from now. So we're taking IQ Chat, which was originally run from the command line. So essentially, what's happening is we're taking code which is the basis for everything IQ, right? It's how we're actually writing data to Solana and scribing in chunks, right? We're sending hundreds, thousands of transactions, and we're storing encoded data in instruction data. And we can then reassemble it and take all of this data and have a clear picture of whatever we want to store on the blockchain for very, very cheap. So using this method of kind of writing data, we can now send data to something called a DBPDA. It's kind of like it's like a sub account. It's a database where we hold everything in someone's wallet, and then they make a server, and it's a PDA, but we call it a server because blockchain internet, and anyone can write to it, right? Anyone can send a couple LAMP ports, and then this will have data attached to it. And then when you do this, you can use a function on Solana called log subscribe, and you can listen for changes that happen to accounts. So you can have which user is writing data to an account, and you can listen for it, and then you can get real-time blockchain messaging that is it's inscribed, so it can't be changed, it can't be tampered with as soon as the transaction is sent, right? We've enabled encryption as well, a custom kind of encryption algorithm created by Zoe based on some Korean characters, which is super, super cool. So yeah, that's kind of how we're doing it. We're having multiple people write to PDAs and listen for the data.
That sounds super cool. How many people are using it, or is it live? I think it's live, but how many messages have you guys seen? What's the kind of response from the community so far?
We've only posted the tech demo right now. We've given access to a couple of our developer friends and things like that to use. It's ready on the command line to go right now, but like I said, we made this app for the Solana Mobile Hackathon. So I think, in August, we'll release this app publicly for anyone to download, and it will be Android native.
Cool, man. What was Zoe building before this? I mean, obviously she's, technically capable. How did she find the time just to kind of, work on IQ6900 and just build all these kind of new tech-heavy projects without kind of having like a full-time tech gig already?
Zoe's worked in Web3 since 2020, I think, full time. She was in school before, double major for art and computer science, but she finished, and then ever since then, it's just been Web3 full time.
Yeah, this space is tough to be in full time, I gotta say. Now,
Yeah.
for me, also same thing. Chris and I both left our nightclub jobs. We live in Vegas and decided to pursue crypto full time. And man, for
That's awesome.
5 years, it's been quite a ride. I think I've aged probably 20 years just being in this space.
Well, yeah. So when I first heard of you guys in Migrate.fun and someone sent this to me, I saw Emblem Vault, the parent, has been around for 10 plus years. And I, fact checked it, everything. I was like, wow, that's a huge deal in the crypto space.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I joined Emblem in 2022. Adam and I were the first, I guess you'd say, first employees or first new members outside of the co-founding team. Shannon, who's our founder, who's in the crowd, was a security developer at Mastercoin back in 2012, 2013. So he's kind of seen the whole ride all the way through. And it actually really plays into what Migrate Fun is, because Emblem Vault has done about 5 different migrations itself in its 10-year history. Maybe even going back to 2014, it was just kind of, I guess the TLDR is Shannon was working at a company called Loyal in 2014. It was a travel layer 1 blockchain. This is like a year before Ethereum even existed. And then took that chain and migrated it to Counterparty as Coval. And that was the beginning of Emblem. And then migrated the Coval token from Counterparty to ERC20 on Ethereum, where it is today. And then we've also had to migrate our Emblem vaults, which were 50,000 NFTs on a single contract, to about 60 different contracts of 50,000 NFTs. So we've kind of gone through our fair share of migrations over the years. And the crazy thing is, like, migrations have always been a thing.
They have, but going cross-chain like you guys and like living to tell the tale multiple times is crazy, especially when you're doing it all yourselves.
Yeah, which always is, it's kind of interesting with like the recent conversations from some other people around migrations, right? Like, we knew as we were like deciding to turn this into a platform that there would come some controversy around it. And it's generally always around kind of 2 ideas, right? It's around, how do you deal with people who didn't migrate, where historically, if people don't migrate, you lose out on the tokens. That's like, it's always been the thing, maybe because it was like a very manual process back then. And then obviously with this version of Migrate Fund, sending the chart to 0, a lot of people will take that at face value and consider it a rug, although not really knowing what's on the other side. And we kind of looked at it and like, well, if the old chart's going to 0, there's a red candle, then it's going to bring, publicity, because people are going to look at this and try to figure out what the hell's going on. Now we get to have kind of this conversation. So I'd love to hear, from your perspective, the idea of migrations, also, how you guys plan to handle it, or at least what's the initial thought, and then how has the community responded so far?
Okay, so to start off, we actually we're soft announcing migration. So if you guys haven't know, whoever's listening, yes, we will be migrating to Iridium CPM. We've told the whales and everything like that, and we've been dropping hints in alpha, but this is kind of the first place we've publicly talked about it. But yes, the is what we're going to do. It's going to be an amazing for us to see our own radium pool and kind of fully flourish as a protocol. But then back to what you asked about, some people fighting migration and kind of the overall picture of how people are seeing it. And I think, before when you would migrate, right, or even if you get rugged on Ethereum, people would pull the liquidity, but there wouldn't be a red candle, right? There would just be no liquidity and you couldn't sell. It's the same as when you're migrating a coin on migrate.fund. The red candle is just painted there. Like, you're still moving money, Solana, from one pool to another. There's no way around it, right? No matter the optics of what the chart looks like. And that doesn't matter to me. You're getting all the money into, or the large a large portion of the Solana into the new pool, right? And then kind of what people think about migration and how it works also kind of reflects a bit about them, in my opinion, because for me, when I saw this initially, of course, I was a bit skeptical. But then when I spoke to you guys over the phone, I saw, okay, these guys are legit, they're real, they're doxed. Great, that helped ease my kind of worries and stuff. And you guys can answer all my questions. Beautiful. And then I start to think, okay, this is a tool that gives builders sovereignty over their protocols. They're no longer just chained to get no swap fees on platforms like Pump Fund, right? Because we launched before Pump Swap, we cannot ever claim community rewards, and they would have been to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, we were pulling millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars of volume back in January and December, right? So I saw that and I'm thinking, wow, me as a builder, as someone who is running, co-running a project with a ton of people behind us, this is great. We can take our project into our community's own hands and really drive forward. But then you also see people on X, a lot of KOL type people who are like, this is a rug, you're just rugging people. And it kind of shows like, which lens are you looking at crypto through? Are you just trying to max extract? Would you use a tool like migrate.fund to rug people? Or are you trying to build something? And would you use a tool like migrate.fund to build yourself up and help empower your community holders and project, right? So I think that kind of speaks volumes about who is fighting and why they are fighting.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it any better, and that was kind of our expectations as well. From all the conversations we have, I mean, right, 100 teams is quite a significant amount from all varieties, from $50,000 market cap upwards of 250 million is like the largest one that's reached out so far, and everyone have different backgrounds, and
it's gone up since I talked to you.
Yeah, it definitely has.
That's crazy.
It's funny. It's like as people bring more attention to it and try to FUD it, it just makes other builders realize like, oh, maybe this is something that I can use. And so then they reach out, and a lot of teams, very warranted. They're like, I like the idea. I want to see it in practice first, which is, completely okay.
That was us, honestly. Yeah. Like, as soon as I saw Hustle actually migrate, and then, what happened after that, and you guys started going full board, trying to get everyone on board, I was like, okay, this is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah. It's, it's really exciting to build new technologies as we continue to do. And this is why we like to have these kind of conversations with builders like yourself. Building out on the frontier of innovation it's tough. It's very lonely as well. And the typical kind of KOL attention economy generally does not mesh with it very well, because
not at all.
They want token price to go up immediately. They need 40,000 catalysts for it to happen. And when you're building products, the catalyst is the product itself, but it's not something that is immediate. It's generally like this kind of slow grind, as you'd mentioned, and then just violent candle up with a never return. Like a good example,
exactly.
A good example of it is actually like virtuals, where I wish Adam was on here, but Adam has like 4 different DMs from these guys over like 4 years of like the different product and the different variation that they've done. And then eventually, right, you see that they have this chart where it's literally stagnant for like years. And then all of a sudden straight to $2 billion, and to where it's like really never came back down. And it's because people realize, oh crap, this is technology that we need, or this is technology that we want. But up until then, it's kind of like you're just hitting your head against the wall, because no one really understands what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And, the people we see on DT, always making these viral posts, leading the culture, right? We've seen a massive step away from decentralization and the actual kind of original ethos of crypto, right? So we all know, of course, Bitcoin at this point, is 7 TPS. It's not going to be used as a currency, but Bitcoin is a decentralized store of value, and it kind of represents everything that crypto was supposed to be. It was supposed to be free from walled gardens, free from corporate interference, things like that. And of course, as crypto develops, there will be larger institutional players and more regulation, right? But we shouldn't just completely forget that we originally crypto was supposed to be for everyone, usable by everyone, and controlled by none, right? So we're kind of returning there. And I think technologies like migration speak just to that ethos, and they allow teams to do what they want with their IPs, liquidity, and technology.
I agree. So what about Solana has captured the IQ6900 team? Obviously, the token is on Solana, but you could have obviously decided to have the token on Solana, but then go build out this decentralized internet somewhere else.
Well, we do have EVM contracts in place. We do have some Ethereum technology built. We're also deployed on Taraxa. Have you guys heard of them? They're
No, I'm
an
not
L1.
familiar.
They're an L1 who's been in the game for probably just as long as you guys have, since 2016, around then. They're a proof of stake block DAG. They're not like a huge market cap, but they are building some really cool technology on Ethereum. But regardless, we're partnered with them. They're an L1, and we are deployed on EVM. It's not as like the way Solana works, it just is conducive to our model by being able to send a lot of cheap transactions that we can fetch all the data from. And also just the culture, liquidity, and vibes of Solana are better. But we're not limited to SVM. We're on EVM too.
Interesting. So is the goal then with the decentralized internet to have it built out across multiple chains? I know obviously that adds, a little bit tougher of a build, but it does effectively make it more decentralized. Although I know a lot of these blockchains are non-interactive. So that's kind of where a lot of these, cross-chain tools come in play.
Well, exactly that, right? We can have technology infrastructure for verifiable data inscription on all of these different chains, and then ideally have bridges and aggregators that we can verifiably pass data between each chain, making kind of a worldwide decentralized information network across multiple blockchain systems.
Yeah, I completely agree as well. So, where the market currently sits today, and I guess where IQ is positioned, what are kind of the next goals here? Obviously, right, we have a soft announcement with the migration, but that's for the token. You have you have this kind of P2P messaging application, and where do you go from there?
So submitting hackathon in these next 2 days here, pushing out the actual app, and then we'll be releasing our API, CLI tools, SDK, like enterprise grade tooling that people can use and start to build stuff with. Tools in people's hands so they can start creating new technology, mass uploading data, doing all this cool, new, interesting stuff. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing, enterprise grade tooling once we get everything done for the hackathon and the mobile app.
So you're taking the SDK and you're going to effectively businesses and asking them if they want to upload their different types of images and data and information into the essentially IQ Explorer.
Exactly. And even more than that, if people want to put like interactive small programs, media files, music, songs, they can upload them and stream them from the chain as well. Things like that too. Our NFT project. We have created a new NFT standard. So right now, most NFTs are using Iris to store metadata, which is like it's an Arweave gateway, right? So Arweave is great. It's super cool. I love it, right? But we can do everything on one chain. So we built a new standard NFTs that has on Solana, you have to use Iris to point to the metadata as part of the standard for it to be accepted and displayed on these sites, right? So we're using Iris just to point to our transaction metadata. So these new NFTs contain actually large like JPEGs and MP3 files, 8 megabyte like songs, all embedded directly on chain in the NFT. So we'll be releasing that this month as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now I'm going through your guys's
Our
Twitter.
highlights have some good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking through the Twitter account and seeing all these different types of products. I see that you have here also a Q-coded. I guess it's like a AI KOL ship poster.
Yeah, and then everything it finds cool stuff and then inscribes it to the chain as well.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah, everything it tweets will be inscribed on the blockchain.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and it also inscribes the other person's tweeted quotes as well.
So I guess then, so you guys are, wow. So there's a plethora of products. You have the SDK, right, which allows people to upload different types of data files to the decentralized internet. You have the token itself. You're in a hackathon, and then you have this AI product
Yeah,
that
we have.
inscribes in. Where do you think like the future of crypto and AI lands? It does seem like the majority of teams that
Sorry,
we
I just had a call there.
You're good. So where do you think then the crossroads of crypto and AI? You know, where is that crossroad and intersection, and how are you planning on IQ6900 to be there? Because a lot of teams that we talked
Mhm.
with, including ourselves, right, get into AI because there's this giant aha moment that we feel the future of crypto UX is going to be through AI, and everyone kind of has different types of implementations. I'm curious what you guys
Yeah.
are thinking about that.
So we power this protocol known as the out of body experience protocol. I actually see Steve, the head there, OXKPT, crack developer in the audience. So Ubi is an AI platform, and it's for on-chain agentic AI, and then all of their kind of on-chain aspects of their AI is built on IQ technology. So what they're doing is they're having agents, right? And then every single action your agent takes, right? There's the logs and the events are inscribed to the chain. And then in real time, you can kind of verifiably check that your AI is doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's actually an AI. And you have a verifiable kind of paper trail of what your on-chain agent is doing. And using this technology, we can also inscribe kind of like vectorized training data or even conversational awareness and kind of put it back into the agent in real time. So we have an agent that is taking data, conversational data that's being inscribed to the chain in real time, and it's not going to forget it as easily, helping stop like hallucinations and things like that. So we already have built on-chain AI with Ubi and partners with them, but we could definitely build more. And we're building also with Vera, which is another company now, and they're trying to do more agentic on-chain memory for having like these conversational windows that are constantly being reinforced into whatever model you're using, so it doesn't forget what you guys are talking about or hallucinate fake things.
Yeah, we see that with Agent Hustle as well. We have a memory built in. There are hallucinations that happen, which is tough to prevent at times, although they will get better. But the memory component, I think, is really the kind of game-changing feature of crypto and AI.
Yeah. So I would definitely recommend talking to Ubi about that, or we can build a custom one as well, or Vera. We have a ton of people building that with our technology already.
Damn. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, Fire, you guys are killing it on all cylinders. I'm not surprised that like a company that kind of is focused on sovereignty and kind of freedom is able to like understand the importance of, why companies would want to move or have to change and evolve their missions using something like Migrate Fund. I think that these launch pads, they've done a great job of getting people to find their product market fit a little bit. You launch 1 million tokens, you're going to find some tokens that hit. And then from those tokens that hit, there gets a shelling point where they need to really dive into their identity and take full control over their own project. And so it's kind of surprising that it took this long for a migration platform to pop up. But I think that Migrate Fund really feels like a serious niche in this industry that's been missing. And I think once you start to get into like these cross-chain migrations and people moving to what really benefits and what really hones into what their true vision is, I think it's going to become more clear. But what do you think about just the general response between so many? I mean, there's detractors, there's people that are for it, but it is kind of funny to be in an industry where we were based on freedom principles, and then now other people from maybe the sidelines think that they have maybe a founding perspective of what communities and creators should do with their projects. I just think that that's like pretty funny. What's your general response to people that might not see the importance of something like Migrate Fund?
To be honest, I would think that they've never actually built something and they don't know what they're talking about. I can't say that to everyone, though. Wink, wink. But I think, like you said already, we've lost the plot a little bit. Migration gives people the tools to steer their own ship. And I won't lie, I didn't think like migrating in this sense was possible until I kind of watched the first like the hustle migration and kind of saw what happened and researched your guys' background. I think everyone kind of thought it wasn't really a thing that could happen from a locked liquidity pool. And you guys have even changed kind of the concept of what is locked liquidity. And I think that is really, really disruptive. And a lot of people aren't liking it because, you know, you're removing money that has been hitting in inactive or low use pools, but still accruing money for these different launch pads, right? We're taking this and we're unleashing a cascade of liquidity, and it's dangerous.
Yeah, I think we're on the kind of cutting edge here. We're on the frontier, and we do have a little bit of some of these teams maybe somewhat fearful. I saw the like Meteora co-founder come out against migrations, which I thought was kind of weird. You're just basically kind of cutting yourself off from potentially having teams migrate to you.
Exactly.
Which was kind of strange. And he even said that the veil of lock liquidity can't be broken or the casino's broken, which I thought was kind of a wild statement, because you're basically saying that your users' liquidity is your money and therefore you're making decisions, which I thought was kind of interesting. But, you know, expanding out this a little bit, I'm curious, you know, as someone of yourself who got into the space a little bit ago, a little bit on the younger side, has these kind of cypherpunk decentralized ideals. You know, Chris and I, we got into the space in 2016. So we've kind of, you know, we grew up with, you know, the cypherpunk kind of ideals embedded in us. But from the kind of newer generations, this tends to be lost in kind of the speculative obscurity of making money. So I'm curious of, you know, where did these ideals come from for you to, you know, really fully understand this?
I was always fascinated with technology. So I'm 22 now, but I first heard about Bitcoin when I think I was in grade 7 or something.
Oh,
So a
wow.
long time, over 10 years ago. Yeah, I never bought any till like I started in 2020, but I always heard about this technology and it was very interesting to me, especially the ideas of decentralized finance and money away from the typical financial systems. Because, you know, growing up, people are like, yeah, you got to go to school, get a job, work for Zog for 40 years, and then that's it, right? I wasn't really a fan of that. And I'm also from Canada too, and not to get political, but I've seen like in my country, you know, privacy and data ownership rights just, you know, constantly eroded, and it kind of is really just jarring for me. So that's kind of where that comes from too.
Interesting. Yeah, it's really, you know, I would say from the NFT era forward, really the majority of the new entrants tend to just focus on price and number go up. And, you know, that's fine. That is a sector. But Chris and I talk about this a lot, how a lot of the conversations just circle around kind of reality TV of who's buying what, who's pocket watching here, who's doing what. And you don't get to have these type of conversations that we're having right now as often as they used to. And I always thought that's what made crypto interesting. That's what brought me into it, is this idea of, you know, empowerment and, you know, freedom to transact and, you know, the
Mhm.
XYZ things that are entangled. So how do you think we get back to that type of messaging? Or is this, you know, speculative idea of meme coins and, you know, making money just always going to be front and center?
I think, you know, that's a difficult question because there's no denying it. People like making money. People like gambling. Myself, I love gambling. I love gambling and trading, making all this money. It's great, you know. But I also really like building something that people use and creating a niche on the internet. So it depends what type of person you are, right? What kind of wins out. And there's no saying making money isn't bad, right? But you're right. The culture of kind of this max extract 6 second hold time has really like stifled Solana. Like I remember back in even November and then last year before that, coins would just run to 10 million like nothing. Like stuff would send all day long. It was super easy. But now after seeing all these extractive events, it's clear something has to change. And I feel like as you know these extractions have happened, we've seen CT start to come around to this idea that hey, we shouldn't just be like, you know, taking everything out and constantly not giving anything back. So I do think we're seeing the pendulum swinging back, but how to actually make that happen, I don't think people will really learn their lesson until all the money has been extracted. Then we have to start over again, right? Unless something else changes in the Solana culture itself.
Chris, what do you think as someone who's been on Solana now since, you know, essentially since its inception, somebody who was trying to convince me last cycle that I was an idiot for not looking at it. And, you know, you've seen the whole progression. Does Solana have to have a cataclysmic event, or how does it get back to kind of cypherpunk conversations?
I mean, I think it did have a cataclysmic event when it went to $8, and literally almost everyone in the entire industry gave up on it completely, even like most diehard believers. But you know, as technology kind of proliferates through society, they have to kind of fill different voids, and like Solana fills a different purpose than Bitcoin did, right? It has, sub-second block times and, hundreds of thousands of transactions per second possible. They kind of fill a different need. Like, building a library of Alexandria on Bitcoin is exciting, but it would be very slow. It would take a very long time. But you can actually build a library of Alexandria on Solana. And although the permanence may not be as spectacular, you only need a certain threshold of permanence, right? There's extremely highly likely probability that Solana will be there tomorrow. And then, it might not be 100% certainty, which you do want to preserve history, but maybe, IQ6900, it's transcribing all of the memes, all of the stories of, all of the people within their community on the blockchain. And maybe Bitcoin will just be the most important pieces of those stories or something of the sort. So I just think that they fill different voids, and Ethereum is just caught in the middle of not so fast and not so decentralized. What a bad place to be that is. But
that's funny.
I think that we're going to see more blockchains just sprout up that fill different niches. And although it'll probably be more like a power law where 80% of the activity happens on 20% of the blockchains, I think we're kind of seeing that already. I think it'll continue to proliferate as such, but they just fill different niches. And I think the industry is like a million times better with Solana rather than without it. And without it, I think it would be pretty empty. So
definitely, that was a great answer. Solana captures the quick user attention and is the best for onboarding new people to Web3.
Yeah, it's it's interesting as cryptos progressed. You kind of see these generational segmentation between the chains, where Bitcoin is a little bit more focused on obviously boomers because they're investing through the stock market, but it's a little bit of an older crowd with like a longer time or hold time period. And Ethereum is mostly millennials who hang out as the builders, and then you have the Gen X who are like the VC investors into them, and then Solana's more Gen Z focused, more about attention and fast block times and such. And it's been interesting to see the ideals carry over, right? As we were just talking about, where decentralization, maybe not the priority for Solana at the moment, but eventually it will have to be at some point. I feel like later stage blockchain ossification is generally around decentralization at some point in time.
Yeah, I think definitely as Solana proliferates, right, you'll see that. And touching back to your generational kind of divide thing, it's funny, you can see this, and I actually did see this this in real life. So I went to Ethereum Denver with Zoe. I saw kind of that millennial kind of age group. Went to Bitcoin Las Vegas. All boomers. I can't lie. It was super corpo. It was not my favorite event. And then I went to Accelerate, and it was the vibes. It was Vibe Central.
That's the one that I want. That's definitely the one that I want to be at. But pulling out of this kind of focus for a second, I'm curious about the kind of incentive layer of IQ6900. As somebody who is kind of at Ordinal since the beginning, and also just been in the space for a while, there has to be some sort of incentive, whether it's social or financial or some sort of game theory, to encourage people to upload their images to the blockchain, right, to embed that forever. So what right now is the incentive structure for people to use IQ6900 for this kind of decentralized internet? And then what are kind of some other future models that you're considering implementing?
So there's multiple kind of demographics here that we can target and which are going to want each specific thing. So why would someone want to use IQ? And we've seen a lot of interest in people wanting decentralized and permanent media and data that is verifiable. Like Opus, the Opus project, they've actually contacted us to inscribe the entirety of the smallest model of Claude Opus 3 on chain, and we're going to start work with them in the next couple of weeks after we migrate. Project 89, things like that. Significant moments in culture history put on chain, things like that. So essentially, you can take any kind of benefit of a blockchain, right? You have consensus, permissionless, trustless, right? And we can start applying this to data, and we can apply it to data in ways that haven't really been possible before while doing it all on one chain, right? Like I know on Ethereum, you can render SVGs and do other kind of cool stuff like that, but we're starting to build that where you can run games, run apps, put vectorized data, things like that on Solana too. So I think people who want to build out new decentralized tech, have permanence, have kind of immutability, have data verifiability. But now on Solana, the faster chain, which has more users and more kind of flowing liquidity, is a big market for us. So people looking to bridge into Solana and into user bases while keeping data that is authentic and verifiable, recordable, that's a big marketplace. We also are looking to bridge ideally to some Web2 companies with databases, right? This will come later, but in the future, we could have databases that instead of being, messes of, paper files or just regular Web2 files, we have to pay for server hosting, things like that. We can take all of this and pass on to Solana itself. So there is no more server hosting, right? And you don't have to pay rent also, which is the beautiful thing, because our inscription method, it's cheaper than rent and inscription, right? 2,000 times cheaper about. So even just anything you want to store on the chain for any sort of reason, we are the cheapest way to do it. Matter of fact, if it is inscription or not, right? If you actually want to put it on the chain, it's the cheapest right now.
What's the average cost to upload some, I guess you'd say like a megabyte?
Between, so I'll start with bytes, then go to megabytes. So it's about between 5 and 10 lamp ports per byte, depending on kind of network activity. And then for 1 megabyte, it is 0.0003 Solana. It might be 2 zeros.
Yeah.
003 Solana, I believe. Yeah.
So it's like pennies we're talking.
Yeah, it's about, I think it's like 40 cents right now for a megabyte. And the beauty of this is it scales in a linear model as well, because you are making transactions and linking them, right? So rent scales exponentially. It's not a huge exponential cost, but it does start to get more and more as you get larger and larger. So this coding is great because we can predict exactly how much it will cost for whatever upload we need.
Yeah, the whole rent architecture of Solana is something that I've come to learn more about over the last few months. Somewhat of a pain point at times when you're trying to do new things, but also genius. I guess that's what helps it. The efficiency.
And you can do like weird things with them that haven't really been thought about, like as we're seeing here with our technology. So I think as more Rust developers hop over to Solana and start building, we're going to see even more kind of crazy things being built on Solana, and Solana being used in ways that people never thought were possible.
And kind of final question for me or few is, what's the best way to get involved with IQ6900? Let's say I'm a retail user, or let's just say I'm a IQ owner and I want to participate in the ecosystem. What's the best to do that? And then also, let's say I'm a business who's interested in the technology of what IQ possesses through the SDK. What is the best path for that?
So for the community member, someone from the team is always online via Telegram, Discord. We're super active on X too. Just hop in the Telegram, start saying hi, start making some memes. You can ask any questions you want anytime, and someone will get back to you. Our community is very helpful as well. No one will be hesitant to onboard you at all. And then in terms of businesses, so this is what we've been working on. IQ initially, we had so much popularity off the start with all this kind of AI craze, everything like that, right? And then we've had to build all these tools and lay the groundwork before we can start actually going to revenue at a large scale and bringing these tools to people. So within the next month, we will have, as I stated earlier, enterprise grade, SDKs, APIs, CLIs for these businesses to use, and we will have them public for everyone to use.
Man, absolutely have to hear that. Chris, you have any final questions?
Fire. No, I think that you guys are in kind of a unique market position where you're half meme, but once you get behind the dimension of the meme, you guys have real builders, and that's a pretty big opportunity and a great place to be. Lastly, just how big is your team? How big is your dream team? What's your team size now? How big would you like it to be? And then what can we look forward to, just in terms of like maybe new hires that you would be looking to grab as soon as you have a bit more working capital?
We are definitely looking for new hires. I actually spoke with Turbine a while ago about hiring someone new, but that'll have to be once we grow and scale a bit more. So on the team, Zoe, of course, the founder and genius behind everything. We wouldn't be here without her.
Let's go, Zoe.
So Zoe's the founder. I'm the co-founder. We have Basebun, one of our engineers. He's a super cool guy. He's in the crowd right now. Been with us since the start. We have Zero Sum, which is actually my cousin, and he's an engineer. He's been helping us in the last couple of months build. We have Careless. We have Careless. We have Carl. A bunch of people. Probably about 6 to 7 main people who are working on this all the time, and like 4 people who are working on IQ full time. And yeah, my dream is I want to work in Web3. I would love to build this. And once we migrate, migration gives communities an opportunity for a rebrand. So I am soft launching the rebrand right now. We will be rebranding. I won't say exactly to what now. We will be probably, we will keep 6900 in our memes and stuff, but the ticker it'll be IQ something else right now, right? And we're going to kind of pivot to a more professional grade kind of look for our enterprise tooling, but don't be scared. We will still, of course, embrace the meme and keep our memes and other aspects like that. But we will create kind of a new front where we can be very professional and present to these businesses. And migration is a good vehicle for this to happen.
100%. Well, I love to see you taking advantage of all the tools that are available to you. And, I'm really looking forward to watching your community grow and you guys continue to succeed over the years, man. So I think you're killing it. Good luck.
Well, thank you. You guys have given us the tools to, steer our own ship and go in the direction we choose. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that. You guys are the second to, I guess, soft announce that there's a rebrand. Obviously, we did this as well. There's one other. To me, that was always like the main reason to do it. Obviously, liquidity and revenue is one, but the ability to rebrand and expand past the launch pad is something that's really ideal. So it's cool to see.
With Radar, right? Yeah, I was actually speaking to them. They actually asked me a couple questions, some of their guys, when I filled them in, and then I think they went through with it after that.
That's amazing. Yeah, what I'm noticing is all the migration teams, especially in this first group, are starting to have some crossover with the communities as well as the builders who are migrating as well, and I think that's quite empowering, right? I mean, I'm seeing teams and people talk about buying up tokens that are announcing migrations to the crossover of ideals, right? To the builders now communicating with each other. And that's the kind of foster of a community that you want, is those who are making their own decisions on their behalf, but also that the incentives are in line, not just from like a speculative token value, but from like a legacy and mission driven outcome.
Yeah, exactly. There actually is quite a bit of kind of collaboration between a lot of these tech projects, like Pay AI, Lens, Ubi, Till. Like a lot of us all know each other, right? So when people see one project having success doing this, it's gonna look good to other people. And I would also recommend maybe Pay AI hosts a really good spaces every Monday, Builder Banter, where they have tons of builders from the ecosystem come. I think that'd be a cool place for migrate.fun if you guys wanted to as well.
Yeah, dude, count us in. We're always excited to talk with other builders, crossover, and just to network. It's tough to find teams who are, with a similar perspective that want to build things that aren't just money driven, although, you generally are, but with a larger kind of mission statement, it's a small subsection of people. So to be grouped in them and to share the same, stage and such it's really important.
It is. It's cool. I'm looking forward to like a united front of technological innovation on Solana.
Absolutely, we will. Well, I appreciate everyone for joining us today. Please make sure that you're following the IQ6900 account as well as the Migrate Fund account that is here on stage. More from that coming pretty soon on when this actual first group of individuals will be migrating. Just got a few more moving parts to nail down, and then there will be a lot more information of that, as well as probably a gigantic increase in marketing and collaboration between everybody. As you heard this awesome conversation, IQ is building some amazing, incredible things. So please make sure that you follow them along. And we host this show Tuesday through Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll be back next Thursday at the same time, probably talking with some fellow migrators or covering some of the market conversation. G, you're awesome, man. Please let us know whenever you do that space. We'll definitely be there and look forward to working together.
Sounds good. I'll send you the details. So thank you guys as well. All your questions were super insightful and really on the ball. That was great.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we just love talking with builders, man. Appreciate everyone who joined us today. Yeah, make sure you're following everyone on stage, and we'll see you guys soon.
Follow everyone.
Take care.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Take care.